Welcome back to
One hit high points.
yes. Okay. So pretty much today's a very interesting day because I feel like it felt like a Kickstarter day for me where I just kind of felt this like surge of energy to just do things differently or to be a little bit more productive in other ways and maybe kind of identify certain bad habits. And I feel like today was like the first real launch day of that change. And I don't know, I just have this new like what's that word called?
Moment?
No, like I'm invigorated. I'm invigorated
It's
by
more of like a new
I'm charged up.
realization or deja vu type thing, or like it's more like a realization. I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, like I'm charged up.
Like a new perspective.
Tell me. I went to the gym this morning too, and as I was thinking, actually it was the afternoon because I actually had a doctor's appointment this morning because I'm trying to make moves and worry about my health a little bit more. But I went to the gym, and as I was thinking, I was like, it's always interesting that, if there's something that you can do in your control that you can change, a great way to feel like you have control over that is by going to the gym. Because for some strange reason, when you go to the gym, you're able to not only feel that you're changing your mentality a bit, but to feel like your body's changing too. It's like, it's just such a healthy outlook to have. It's like when you go to the gym and you just feel like it's, kind of the way to start your day or to be a part of your day when you're trying to be productive. It's like the sweet spot. It put me in a good mood. Like it put me in a good mood to feel like when I was at the gym today while feeling like I was making other changes throughout my day.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a way to feel like invigorated and charged. And I just urge everyone who maybe is feeling down or depressed or has maybe fallen off from the gym is just try to get yourself back into the cycle of going more consistently. Find that like fun form of fitness. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a standard gym. Just maybe try a different hobby that gets you to move your body. And
I think more of what you're saying is find something that actually makes you happy or that you actually want to do. So like
it's physical
and stop, making excuses for, I think, yourself. Like if someone really wants to like go paddle boating, but they continue to say no, and they're putting themselves off essentially what they're doing, so it's like just kind of do it.
Or you're talking about like a circumstance of where someone can just go to like, I don't know, they can go canoeing or kayaking one day. I'm talking more about like, yeah, that's fine too. Get out there.
But no, like if you love doing that, find the time to do it all the time. I guess is what you're saying, or what I'm saying.
Yeah, just find a hobby. Just find a hobby that can get you to move, whether that's like rock climbing or if you're going to go kayaking, do it more consistently. I mean, it's, spring, but the summer's coming up. So if you think people kayak in the spring, I don't fucking know. Did I ever kayak in the spring? I think I did, actually.
Yeah, I think you can pretty much kayak as long as there's an ice on the water.
Yeah, I think I did.
Ice on the water?
I did in May. Anyway, stupid conversation. But what I was really feeling today was that it could be more of an episode where we really just talk about how we're feeling in our lives and what current steps we're taking for ourselves to acknowledge maybe bad habits or things that we can kind of improve. And because I think it's nice to sometimes we have conversations where we really ask more broader questions to get answers, or we even have
I think it's kind of the moment of asking each other and even ourselves, where are we at today and how and what are we doing to improve life and those things. And I think
yeah. So how are you feeling, buddy?
How am I feeling? Honestly, since yesterday, not so good. Had a little minor neck and back issue.
Hospitalized.
Yeah, so we're moving through that. So I'm feeling a little fun right now. But no, like even before that part of it is it's like I've been going to the gym a little bit more. I don't like the gym. I think it's just more because I feel like it's an intimidation type thing. But like I'm telling, like pushing myself, like just do it, like those type of things of like it kind of goes back to my point earlier of like stop making the excuses, just go do it type thing.
Yeah,
because really you don't. And I also know that I had the time. It's not like my day was filled, so it's kind of like it wasn't just an excuse just not to do it. So I think that's good, from just an overall healthy being standpoint.
Yeah, it's good. That's the thing is, it's when people feel like they're kind of taking on the idea of starting a gym routine, I think a lot of the times people psych themselves out because they feel is almost like doing it is first of all, there's a lot of things that that I remember when I was going into it, I was like, oh my God, people are going to stare at me. People are going to judge the fact that my form may suck, or that I'm unaware of certain workouts, or that I'm too skinny, or that the weight I do is too light, or maybe I'm not doing enough reps in a set, or, there's so many different things that you can think of. But when I tell you, like, when you just do a little bit of like research on workouts, the form and all that stuff will literally come. I give you like just a certain amount, maybe like give yourself like a month,
Yeah.
and you'll start to see like just subtle improvements in how you are more focused on figuring out how to do the right form. Because when you go there and you're committed to going there, despite that fear of not knowing, most people don't really give a shit. Don't let those like viral videos of people doing outrageous things at gyms like fool you. It's people that know what they're doing. They're causing a scene. They want to be filmed. They know they're being ridiculous. But otherwise, you're not going to be someone who's like unaware of what you're doing, and someone's going to zoom in on you and truly like try to post it. Like no one's that cruel. I think. I think for the most part, that's kind of dying out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think on top of the gym also is just trying to eat healthy, and I think that's probably one of the harder ones to do because I think, after a long day of whatever you might be doing, the last thing like I want to do is go cook or like those type of things. It just is exhausting. It's like it's just another
Going to the gym kind of encourages cooking though.
Yes, it does. It's important to do it, and it's some of
it's
it
like
is
I'm
just,
hungry as shit. I want to like feed my muscles now.
And it goes back to the same comment, just like we just have to kind of push ourselves in. But at the same time, is it good to always live a very tired life and just not relax for every now and then, So
I'm always
that's a balance
tired.
too.
I'm always tired, and I feel like I'm tired just because like shit happens, and you're just like, damn, man, like shit happens, and you just kind of feel like over time you get weathered about not like weathered, but like you feel like you're on this like you feel like you're on this prolonged like simulation, and you're just waiting to come off of it and just be like, I want to be able to experience some bit of normalcy. And I think that's one thing that I've never been able to fully achieve in a consistent way. Like, as I feel like my family dynamic, the certain events that happened in like the last, I guess, like 4 years, I guess obviously everyone dealt with COVID and stuff. I've dealt with the repercussions of COVID in a way where when there's loss, or an ending of a relationship, the moving back home and living with family, there's just so many things that kind of toppled on each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is how bad the anxiety of thinking of it, because it almost takes my breath away, where my mind just races because I smoked, and I am also thinking like sometimes when you try to really tap into a place of
But
shit
there's multiple different
and trauma, you kind of almost forget. You almost kind of like forget, and you have to piece it together. And when you get those little glimpses of those triggers, you're like, oh shit, that really did happen.
Yeah, but sometimes you just have to also remember that there's different levels of tiredness.
Yeah.
Like I could be physically fine and capable of doing everything, but the mind is not allowing it, or vice versa, where your body is like restless. You want to get up and going, but you're so far in your mind.
Yeah.
Or vice. Like it's crazy that just how the body works that way, and it's hard to find, those moments where you feel good in both areas. And I think that with everyone dealing with own trauma or depression pieces in their life, or their own issues, it's taxing physically and mentally, and then it's we as the observers of those things need to become a little more patient, and learn how to kind of work together as people see the differences as everyone's dealing with life.
Yeah.
And it's all different to each other, and
yeah, I think that's why you have to be like empathetic and realize that when there is such a vast majority of people suffering in their own ways, unique ways, and stuff, that the end result is still those emotions that is ultimately what binds us in that human experience. So being able to be mindful that you're not just isolated in your suffering. And I think that's something that I'm trying to convince myself, even now as I say this, to believe, because even when there's moments when I get down and I think about, wow, but this is my reality, I have this main character syndrome, right? Even as an empath, you can feel that way. And you sometimes kind of, feel this despair and this, because there's not any real normalcy or breaks in between sometimes events that happen so back to back to back. You almost feel like it's rapid fire on you, and you're like, what do I do? Like, if I move forward, it's like, again, rapid fire, and you just feel stuck sometimes. And I think that that's actually a lie. It's depression and fear tricking you to think that, like, you know, there's no light really on the other side, or that things aren't better in this dark cloud that you're stuck under. There really is just that push. And once you get there and you're just disciplined and consistent with whatever change you make for yourself that is supposed to hopefully help you, like it's a positive thing that you want to achieve or do, whatever, that it just has to have that consistency. And then once you get it, it's like everything clicks and it's a snowball effect. And I'm not saying this is for everyone. I'm saying it's hopefully for those people that feel like they're on the cusp of making change because they really fucking want it, but they just don't know how to
But I think
start it.
I think some of that is learning how to put up a guard. Like it's kind of like in blocking certain
From
things.
distractions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you
Or
see
vices,
it,
or
you
vices, yeah.
no. It's more of if it comes at you, more of take it, see it, don't let it affect you. That's what I more mean by the guard, and just building up those little barriers, kind of how you're able to handle that ripple of life.
Like identify like a recurring, maybe not a recurring issue, but like identify how to
Cope,
like
not cope.
to process,
Handle.
to handle.
Like it's
To
more to
handle the
handle it. It's the
problem.
same thing. Like if you know at your job you have and you're serving drinks or something at the bar, and you have the same person come in every day, and that person is always an asshole. The bartender learns how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Now they can't. The bartender wouldn't allow that person to affect them. And if they did, then that there are those bartenders out there, but that bartender, it's the same situation.
That's a reoccurring problem, so it's kind of annoying. So that's kind of something that I think that people should address. Actually,
Yeah.
But when there's like, I don't know, you get a flat tire, and then maybe like 2 weeks later your phone screen cracks, and then like maybe a month later you lose like a necklace, like a gold jewelry necklace, and then maybe 2 days after that gold necklace got lost, you stub your toe, now you have a broken toe. And then it's like maybe 5 days later you burn your eye, and then now you have to go to the urgent care. I'm not saying that that's not ever anything that happened to me.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that like
situations
for some people,
are tough because they are discouraging. It's the same thing like when you start dropping something,
but
and then
on.
you drop it every day, or not every day, but like all day long you continue to drop something. It's like, why am I doing this? Like, yes, that gets irritating.
But,
and then in
but
a
those
larger
are,
scale,
But those are smaller things that I'm just trying to build a spectrum up. So we first brought up how there's reoccurring annoyances with people or interactions. Sometimes they should be addressed. Sometimes like maybe if they're not anything that is worth bringing up, if you're just being annoyed because you're having a bad day, that's different. You can identify that on your own, whatever. Then there's problems that tend to just be like the stupid annoying things that just happen to everybody, but maybe they happen consistently to you, and you're just like, oh gosh, this is annoying, just give me a break. Then there's those kind of problems. And then there's like the not final stage problems, but like the third and more like extreme problems where you maybe have like loss back to back to back, or you maybe are losing, having three major tragedies happen at once, like losing a job, losing a partner, having to move back home, losing a loved one, or like when you have something like those types of things within such a short time span, those are things
that's
that
very emotionally tolling.
Yeah, and those types of things people typically take a lot more time to want to address and work on. Now imagine you have a person who's dealing with like 3 or 4 of those things all at once. Whether it's the span of 6 months to a year or year and a half, you just start to feel like shit. How the fuck do I feel now? Like, because when you're under that much type of trauma or suffering and you're drowning, it's almost like your true will is tested. Like, do you really want to live, or are you just gonna give up? And I think that's sometimes the most poetic sadness to think about. It's like, you almost have to suffer so much in order to feel like what real life means, and like the real willpower to live. It's like it almost activates something in you.
And somehow I look at that and I look at it and say I had the same thing with trauma over trauma over trauma, and then at times all of a sudden you're like, why me? And I think.
Well, that's one way you can go and say why me all the time. You can go there.
Yeah.
And be
but
that way,
I'm trying. It's in my head, and I'm having a hard time articulating it. But it's more of just like it's. You have to sit back and look at, okay, why did all this happen? Like, what am I doing? And then, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Like, am I continuing to make the same mistakes? Or am I just not patient? Like, there's like, I think, a level of patience within all of that, because life is not easy. Like, it's And the next thing you know, like your dishwasher goes, or this goes, or that goes. Like it's just this ongoing.
Life is about maintenance. Life is about maintenance of survival.
It's maintenance and balance, and keeping that.
Yeah.
And when that scale is balanced and your life is balanced, is the peace that you find, and that's what I think happiness is balancing everything out.
While ultimately hoping to still be on the journey of refining and improving yourself, even until your, elder years, where you're really your different stages and your priorities change, and you just always want to be sharp, and you always want to be able to value the life that you have. And I'm not saying these conversations are meant to apply to every single person that listens, but these are conversations that I think are healthy for people that can feel like they can relate to this, where they feel, that they want to have that extra relatability, to feel that they're not isolated in their stillness and their inability to make moves or change, because they feel like maybe shit just overwhelmed them and they feel so deep in despair. They feel isolated. In reality, you're not isolated. There's so many people that are feeling the same way, and I can be one of those. I am one of those people, and I have been one of those people, and I'm still working on it. And I feel like I've made a lot of progress in just finding a lot more purpose in life, because of how much I've, I guess, understood the suffering that I've had. It's helped me just kind of attach a reason to it, and it's helping me go. It's helping me move forward. And
I think, back to the balance of life and keeping everything in balance, and that's the happiness you find, is actually, I think the test is really what you're being tested on, is that you're able to balance the crap in life that's thrown with you and still become that good person. And I think that's really the test of time, that's kind of, you're doing everything right. Like, and you're making the good choices, and as well as you have that, your relationship with, the higher power. That is really, I think, life is what it's about, is just, are you patient enough for all of this to occur, for you to ascend onto eternity?
It's crazy, because whenever we have these conversations, especially when we take a hit or whatever, it's interesting that we always got we go through these elements of how a person, it's advised how a person should kind of not live their life, but how would it benefit them, and we're having that open dialogue. But we always go through this element of sequence and describing people's
progression.
There's checkpoints, and what you should do is find the balance, find the purpose, get the discipline, build that structure, or find the structure within the balance, and this and this. It's all these things, and we're constantly going through it. And it's every single conversation, I think, in life is always about a different approach to the same overall end goal, in a way. At least any type of in-depth philosophical surface level, when in regards to human nature and how we are, it's always about trying to reiterate these basic understandings, but it's almost people can't get past it. We can't evolve past greed, for example. Humanity is still so stuck on greed. I was going to
say something on that. We all need jobs. We have to survive. Whatever that job is different, and that doesn't really matter what your job is. But to survive in the world, in most places in this world, you need some type of currency. And so it's but you can go so far with that, like you're saying with greed, is in if you commit too much to your job. Sorry, there's a little whistle there.
I heard.
And if you commit too much to your job, then you become greedy. You become that business person that gets corrupted, and then you become unbalanced. It still goes back to that, keeping that balance of going so far one way or the other.
Yeah, you just become a shitty person, and most times than not, I mean, if you're at that level,
and then you're
greed,
so far, and then you're corrupted based on something, and then at that point, you can never get away from it.
Yeah, greed is
even if you have the guilty conscience.
Greed is like a drug. It is it's like worse than heroin, because when you're at a place where you're I have a lot, and you've made the choice to be in the dark side of saying I have so much, and yet I want more. There's nothing wrong with being hardworking, driven, successful, proactive, not just for other people, even if you just want to be for yourself and to build an empire. That's fine. It depends on how you achieve that, and most times than not, at least for how we're seeing our politicians or just really powerful people, is that they tend to use loopholes and systems to not really put money back into
they're selfish.
To put money back into the economy. Instead, it's the working class people become debt slaves, essentially paying off the debt of these people, because they want to continue to get more through cheating the system rather than honestly being ethical about it. So
and
yeah.
to your point, that point too.
That was long-winded.
Is more of like you said, to build your empire, and I think yes, that's the beauty of life that we have.
Yeah.
And I think that does truly achieve true happiness in some aspect, but you can't do it selfishly. You can't do it in where it's all about me and you forget about everything around you. Like you do it as a community, you do it as a family, those type of things, and that's what I truly think is the happiness piece of it, of life, is, and then that allows you to help balance all the shit that is thrown at you. It's kind of like, and that allows you to go back to on the days how we feel, how we started the conversation is that what's that balance? Like if
I feel like this conversation had different like journeys.
Yeah, but I think now it's coming back around. I think, like as we deal with, the crap that's thrown our way and we know what we need to do to like be happy, it's just more, okay, you have a bad day, but what is going to balance you out when you have that bad day? Like, could it be, I need to go to the gym, or I need to do this, or I need to just talk to someone, like just get it off my chest.
Sweater.
People knit. Let them. You knit, anyone listening, you knit me a sweater.
He actually would probably love a knitted sweater. You give me very Golden Girls, like
1980 boy.
Yeah, like I can picture you in a knitted sweater and being like one of the Golden Boys.
I have a knitted sweater.
I know.
That gold one?
Wait, hold on.
The gold one from the winery?
I don't think I can put it together in my head. But anyway, so just, if you're having a bad day...
Go find your knitted sweater.
Go find your knitted sweater. Maybe not now because it's really fucking hot outside. But, just try to understand that if you're stuck, if you're feeling stuck, if you feel still and you're so frozen with the state of the world, I mean, like I said, I try to avoid talking about it because it's still very emotionally impactful to me right now, and I just don't feel like I'm in the place to really speak or represent anything in regards to the suffering of Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank, and the current genocide that is actually occurring, because it's a real fucking thing and it's happening in real time, and it's very dystopic. And seeing celebrities in the Met Gala posing and trying to get all the attention they possibly can on their visual aesthetics, while that's literally being used as the distraction method to get everyone's eyes off of the genocide happening right now with 1.7 million people in Rafah. Anyway, long-winded again, but that's another thing that's really been heavily on my mind, and it's another thing that has made me feel still, and like I've been really unable to move and to really move forward because of how I feel like what's the purpose of this? Like, how do I move forward in a world where this is happening and it's so accepted? And I think that's just being proactive. It's starting to really find that fire within you, and to really find your empathy deep inside your heart and see if there's any possible way that you could make a difference, even if it seems small. It's planting a seed for change. And I think that all starts with getting up, moving, doing something, going to the gym, get your mind right, get your body right. And then I think everything will start to, fall into place.
Acts of kindness is always the first step of everything. Like it's like those are some initial seeds to always be planted in someone's head.
But you got to move first. You got to move, and you got to stop feeling still. And
at the same time, just never go find the person that needs a seed, but more of you could be watering that. And you're beginning to, sprout and those type of things.
It's by staying educated and having open dialogue. Yes, absolutely. As long as you're educated and you're not, listening to fake news, and you're willing to be open-minded and to look at all sides to really garner the most facts on the ground, and taking the most raw data to actually identify for yourself what's really happening. Those are really powerful things. And when you're educated and you have open conversations, yes, you're watering whatever seeds may have already been planted in someone who may have been curious. So
and it's also in my mind is like I don't think there's any stupid questions out there. It's just like if someone asks it, just as stupid as one might think it is just answer it and just kind of like
at this point, as long as you're even interested in the topic, because it does affect you, like it's a real fucking thing. It affects everyone in the world. But as long as you actually can have that humanity unlocked within you, like that's the first sign that I'm like that's like the bare minimum. So like. Yeah,
it's definitely, it goes, just
everyone, have a great night and stay open-minded.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.